The colony was quiet as the twin suns sank below the horizon, painting the sky with red and violet light. Shadows stretched long across the rough ground, and a chill began to crawl over the settlement. The human Daniel stood outside his small dwelling, listening to the last calls of strange birds echo across the alien hills. He had been on this planet for only 3 months, yet he already felt the heavy weight of fear that ruled the locals. The alien villagers avoided him at night. They closed their doors, sealed their windows, and whispered warnings that made no sense to him. More than once, he had asked what danger they feared, but the only answer he received was the same hushed phrase, "Beware the sister in heat." The words meant nothing to him at first. He thought it was a myth, some old superstition meant to keep children from wandering after dark. But their eyes, wide with terror, told him this was not a joke. On the evening before the long night, one of the elders approached him. The elder's skin shimmered faintly in the fading light, his eyes black and deep like pools of ink. He leaned close, his voice harsh but trembling. "Human, listen carefully. When the sister's heat comes, you must close your door. Never let it stand open. Not for a breath, not for a moment. If you do, she will come, and you will not live to see another dawn." Daniel gave a small nod, but inside he did not believe. He had fought in wars, crossed space, and survived dangers far worse than alien. Whispers. What could one creature do that would frighten a whole colony into silence? Yet as the elder walked away, Daniel noticed how the other aliens refused to meet his gaze. They hurried to their homes, dragging children behind them, pulling shutters tight, locking heavy bolts into place. Soon the settlement was dark, and only Daniel's house still had light in the window. As night fell, Daniel sat by his table, the door half open, letting the cool air move through his room. His rifle leaned against the wall, untouched. He told himself he would not live in fear. He would not lock himself away because of a story. Still, he could not ignore the strange feeling pressing against his chest. The silence outside was heavy. Too heavy. Even the birds and insects had gone quiet. Hours passed slowly. The moons rose high, their pale glow painting silver lines on the floor where the door remained open. Daniel rubbed his hands together, fighting off the cold. A sound came. From outside, soft at first, then heavier, like footsteps moving through the dust. His head turned toward the door, and his breath caught. Something was there, just beyond the line of moonlight. A shadow moved, long and graceful, not human. Daniel's hand drifted toward his rifle, but he stopped. His instincts screamed danger. Yet something deeper whispered curiosity. He could almost hear breathing, slow, steady, and too close. A figure stepped into the light. She was tall, her form both alien and strangely familiar. Her skin shimmered with faint patterns that shifted like fire beneath water. Her eyes glowed with a pale gold light. Her hair, if it could be called that, flowed like strands of liquid silver. She stood at the threshold of his door, watching him, not speaking, not moving. Daniel's heart pounded. The warnings of the elder echoed in his mind. If you do, she will come, and you will not live to see another dawn. Yet here she was, not a beast, not a monster, but something caught between beauty and danger. Her gaze was locked on him, sharp and unblinking. She tilted her head slightly, as if puzzled by his calmness. For a long moment, neither moved. The night was silent except for the sound of his breathing. Daniel should have been afraid. He should have slammed the door shut, locked it, prayed for dawn. But instead, he whispered under his breath, "So this is the sister." The alien girl's eyes narrowed, her lips parted slightly, but no words came. Only the faint sound of her breath, heavy and uneven, like someone fighting against an unseen force. Then, as suddenly as she appeared, she stepped back into the shadows. Her form melted into the dark until only the empty doorway remained. Daniel exhaled slowly. His body trembled, but not from fear alone. He felt a strange pull inside him, a curiosity stronger than caution. He had been warned, but he could not bring himself to close the door. Instead, he sat back down, staring at the open frame, waiting, wondering if she would return before the night ended. Outside, the colony lay in silence. Every door was locked, every window sealed. No one dared look out. No one dared breathe too loud, but in one house, a door stood wide open, and inside, a human waited, ignoring every warning, unaware that the choice he had made tonight would change everything that followed. The night stretched on, and Daniel remained at the table, his eyes fixed on the open doorway. The chill deepened, but he felt no need for warmth. His mind replayed the vision of the alien sister standing in the moonlight, her eyes glowing like embers, her presence a mixture of danger and sorrow. He told himself he imagined it, but the marks in the dirt outside told him she was real. Hours passed slowly. The moons drifted across the sky, casting shifting shadows across the walls. Then it came again, the sound, a low scraping against the ground, followed by the soft crunch of footsteps. Daniel's pulse raced. His hand twitched toward the rifle, but he stopped himself. The weapon felt useless against something he did not yet understand. She appeared once more, this time closer. Her figure glided into the light, the silver strands of her hair flowing like liquid. Her skin carried faint glowing patterns that shifted with every breath. Her golden eyes fixed on him as though testing the strength of his soul. She stood at the threshold again, but unlike before, she did not hesitate. She took a slow step inside. Daniel's chair creaked as he leaned forward. His breath was shallow. His instincts screamed to run, to shut the door, but his curiosity held him still. She moved like a predator, yet her steps were unsure, as though she fought against an inner storm. Her hands trembled, fingers curling and uncurling. She looked less like a monster and more like a prisoner of her own body. "Why do you not close the door?" Her voice finally came. It was soft, broken, but carried a strange rhythm, like wind moving through hollow stone. Daniel swallowed hard. The words shocked him. She could speak. She understood. "Because I was warned," he answered quietly, "and I want to know why." Her head tilted, golden eyes narrowing. "Humans," she whispered, almost to herself. "Always blind, always stubborn." She took another step. Her presence filled the room with an invisible weight, a pressure that made the air heavy. Daniel's heart pounded. Yet he did not reach for the rifle. He only watched. The alien sister circled the table, her gaze never leaving him. She sniffed the air as though testing his scent. Her movements were graceful, yet strained, like a dancer forced to move against chains. She leaned closer, her face near his, and for the first time Daniel saw more than danger in her eyes. He saw hunger, but not for food, not even for blood. It was something deeper, something she herself did not seem to understand. Daniel whispered, "What do you want?" Her lips parted, a faint growl rising from her throat. "I do not know," she admitted. Her voice trembled. She turned her head sharply as if fighting against her own instincts. "I should not be here. You should be gone. Yet you sit. And your door stays open." Her words carried both accusation and confusion. Daniel felt the tension rise. He realized she expected him to fear her, to push her away. Yet he sat calmly, daring her to decide what she truly was, monster or something more. The silence stretched long. Outside, the wind howled, carrying dust against the walls. Inside, the glow of her patterns brightened, flickering like fire. Her breathing grew heavy, uneven. Her claws sharp and curved pressed against the table, scratching lines into the wood. Daniel flinched at the sound but held his ground. Finally she stepped back. Her chest rose and fell like she had run a great distance. Her golden eyes locked with his once more. "You are not like the others," she said. "The others close their doors. They hide from me. They hate what I am. And what are you?" Daniel asked softly. Her gaze darkened. Her voice was both bitter and pained. "A curse," she whispered. "Born with fire in my blood. They call me sister, but they do not see me as family. They see only danger, only shame." For a moment, Daniel's heart softened. He saw the loneliness carved into her every word. She was feared not because she chose violence, but because she was trapped in something beyond her control. Her condition was a prison, and her people had made it worse by turning her into a monster in their stories. She stepped backward toward the doorway, her form half hidden by shadow once. "More, you should fear me," she warned, her voice cracked. "If you do not close your door, the night will take you, and it will be by my hands." Daniel rose slowly from his chair, his voice steady. "Then let it try." The alien sister's eyes widened for the first time, her expression unreadable anger, surprise, or perhaps respect. She stared at him for a long moment before vanishing into the darkness. Her steps faded into silence, leaving Daniel alone. With the cold night air, he stood at the door, staring into the empty streets. Every house remained sealed, every window closed. No one else dared face her. No one else would have left their door open. But Daniel had. And now something had begun, something that would not end with this night. As dawn approached, the first light of the suns touched the horizon. Daniel felt no relief. Instead, he felt a weight pressing heavier on his soul. The encounter was only the beginning. He had looked into the eyes of the alien sister, and she had looked back. The warnings of the elders no longer mattered, for Daniel knew that his story and hers had only just begun. The next day dawned bright, yet the light of the twin suns did little to ease Daniel's thoughts. He moved through the colony streets, noticing how every alien avoided his gaze, their heads lowered, their voices hushed. Fear lingered in the air like smoke that refused to fade. He heard whispers carried on the wind, words spoken in their native tongue, but he understood enough to know they spoke about him, the human who left his door open, the human who lived through the night. Daniel felt their eyes burning on his back as he walked. Some looked at him with disgust, others with pity. A few carried raw fear, as if simply standing near him would bring the sister upon them. He clenched his fists, anger rising inside. He had done nothing but sit in his own home, yet now he was marked. At the trading stalls, one merchant finally spoke, her voice low, her scaled hands trembling as she handed him fruit. "You should leave this place. Human, it is not safe for you. Not now, not after what you did." Daniel narrowed his eyes. "What did I do?" "You invited her," the merchant whispered. "When the sister comes and finds no door closed, it means acceptance, it means invitation, and she will return again. She always returns where she is welcomed." Daniel took the fruit, his jaw tight. The thought stirred something inside him. He had not welcomed her, not truly. He had only refused to live in fear. Yet perhaps, in their eyes, that was the same thing. That evening, as the sun sank once more, Daniel's curiosity grew stronger. He found himself wandering outside the colony, following the dusty path toward the hills. He wanted answers, not warnings, not fear. If she was real, if she was cursed, then he needed to know the truth. The air grew colder as he walked. Strange symbols carved into stones caught his eye. Spirals and claw marks etched deep. Some were old, weathered by time, others fresh, glistening as if carved only last night. His heart pounded. He knew these were signs of her presence. The hills grew silent, and then he heard it. A faint hum, low and haunting, carried through the rocks. He followed the sound until he reached a cave hidden in the cliffs. The entrance was narrow, but within it glowed faint golden light, the same color as her eyes. Daniel stepped inside, careful and quiet. The walls shimmered with strange markings that pulsed like veins of fire. The air was heavy, filled with a warmth that pressed against his skin. And there, deeper in the cave, he saw her. The alien sister knelt on the ground, her hands pressed to the glowing stone. Her body shook as if in pain. Her patterns burned brighter across her skin, flickering like flames trapped beneath glass. She did not notice him at first. Her breaths came sharp and uneven, her voice whispering in words he could not understand. When she turned and saw him, her eyes widened, her lips curled back. Not in a smile but in warning. "You should not be here," she growled. Her voice carried both fury and fear. Daniel stood firm. "I need to know," he said. "Why do they fear you? Why do you come to my door? Why me?" Her expression hardened. She rose slowly, her figure tall and trembling with energy. "Because you did not run," she answered. "Because you left the door open. You chose to see me when no one else dares. And now the bond has begun." "The bond," Daniel repeated, his heart racing. Her eyes burned brighter. "It is a curse of blood and fire. When the sister is ignored, she fades. When she is feared, she grows wild. But when one accepts her presence, even without words, a bond is formed, and that bond cannot be broken." Daniel felt the weight of her words. The memory of her golden eyes staring into his burned into his mind. He had not chosen a bond. Yet perhaps by refusing to close his door, he had set something in motion that could not be undone. She stepped closer, the glow of her skin lighting the cave walls. Her hand hovered near his chest. Trembling, "You should fear me. You should hate me like they do." "But I don't," Daniel said quietly. His voice was steady despite the storm inside. "I don't hate you." Her golden eyes softened for the briefest moment, then hardened again. She turned away, clawing at the stone wall. "Your curiosity will kill you, human. You seek answers, but the answers are not safe. Every cycle the fire grows stronger. I lose myself, I lose control, and if you remain, you will be the first to burn." Daniel swallowed, but did not retreat. His curiosity was stronger than his fear. He had seen loneliness in her eyes, the same loneliness he felt in this strange colony, and perhaps that was why he could not walk away. She faced him again, her voice low, almost pleading. "Go back to your people, close your door, forget me." Daniel shook his head. "I can't." The cave trembled with silence. Her golden eyes locked with his, filled with conflict, rage, and something else, a fragile spark of hope. For a moment, she seemed ready to strike, but instead, she vanished into the shadows of the cave, leaving only the glow of the markings behind. Daniel stood alone, his heart pounding. He knew now the danger was real, the warnings were real, yet his curiosity would not let him turn away. He had stepped into her world, and there was no going back. As he left the cave and walked into the cold night, he whispered to himself, "This is only the beginning." The suns rose slowly over the colony, yet Daniel felt no warmth from their light. His mind carried the image of the glowing cave, the trembling figure of the alien sister, and her warning about a bond that could not be broken. Sleep had not come to him, and when dawn arrived, he was still awake, staring at the cracked ceiling of his small dwelling. The whispers in the streets grew louder that morning. The villagers avoided him more openly now. Children were pulled aside when he passed. Merchants closed their stalls early when he approached. He had become something unclean in their eyes, a human who had stepped too close to the cursed one. By midday, Daniel sought answers. He could not live with shadows and warnings alone. He needed the truth. And so he went to the one place he had avoided since his arrival, the old records hall. It was a building of stone, half buried in dust, guarded by an elder whose skin was pale with age. The elder squinted at him with black eyes that seemed to pierce through his soul. "Why do you come here, human?" the old voice asked, cracked and brittle. "I want to know about her," Daniel said firmly. "The sister they fear. The curse you whisper about. I want the truth." The elder hissed softly, shaking his head. "Curiosity will kill you," he muttered, but when Daniel did not leave, the elder sighed and pulled a heavy tablet from the shelves. Its surface shimmered faintly with etched symbols that glowed when touched. He set it before Daniel and spoke slowly. "Long ago, before the colonies, before the walls, there was no curse. The sisters' fire was seen as sacred, a gift from the stars. It was said their blood carried the memory of the first flame, the power that lit the suns. They were respected, honored, worshipped even." Daniel leaned forward, his eyes locked on the glowing symbols. "What changed?" he asked. The elder's voice darkened. "Fear. The fire grew too strong. Some lost control. Villages burned. Families were destroyed. The people turned their reverence into terror. They declared the sisters cursed. They locked them away, and those who survived were forced into exile. Now only a few remain, hidden, feared, forgotten. Daniel felt the weight of the words press against him. He understood now why she called herself a curse. Her people had abandoned her, not because she chose violence, but because they were afraid of what she carried inside. The elder fixed him with a cold stare. You should not seek her, human. She will bring ruin upon you. Her bond is death. No one who ties themselves to her survives the cycle. But Daniel shook his head. Maybe no one has tried to understand her. Maybe fear blinded you all. I will not turn away. The elder's hands trembled as he closed the tablet. Stubborn human. You carry your species' madness into places it does not belong. That night, Daniel returned to his home, his thoughts heavy, his body weary. Yet as the moons rose, he once again left his door open. He could not ignore her. He could not let her fade back into shadows. And as expected, she came. Her figure appeared in the doorway, glowing faintly in the silver light. Her golden eyes locked on him, sharper than before. "Why do you keep calling me?" she asked. Her voice low and tense. Daniel stood, his chest tight but his voice steady. "I read about you. I know what they once believed. They feared you, but before that, they worshipped you. They called your fire sacred." Her body stiffened, her breath hitched. For the first time, she looked shaken. "Where did you hear that?" she demanded. Her claws dug into the wood of the doorframe. "The records," Daniel said. "I wanted to know the truth, not just the fear." The glow of her skin flared brighter, patterns dancing wildly across her body. She stepped into the room, her presence heavy. "They buried that truth," she whispered bitterly. "They erased it. To them, I am nothing but danger. They see only the curse, never the gift." Daniel took a cautious step closer. "But I see more than that. You're not a monster. You're not a curse. You're someone trapped by fear. Someone alone." Her eyes widened, her lips parted, but no sound came. Her hands shook violently. She turned away as though his words were knives against her skin. "You should not speak like that," she said, her voice cracking. "You make the fire inside me grow stronger. You do not understand what it means." "Then tell me," Daniel said softly. "Show me the truth." She spun back toward him, her golden eyes blazing. "The truth is this," she cried. "Every cycle the fire consumes me. It eats at my mind, my body, until nothing is left but rage and hunger. And when that hunger takes me, I cannot stop. I cannot choose. If you stand before me, then I will end you." The room trembled with the force of her words. Daniel's heart raced, yet he did not back away. "Maybe," he said, his voice steady, "but maybe you can fight it. Maybe with me, you can control it." Her expression broke for a moment, showing raw pain and longing. She stared at him as though seeing something impossible. "Why you?" she whispered. "Why does it have to be you?" Daniel shook his head slowly. "Maybe because I didn't close the door." She stood frozen, torn between fury and something softer. Her breathing came heavy, her hands trembling at her sides. Then, with a sharp growl, she fled into the night, her glow fading into the shadows. Daniel stood alone in the silence, the words of the elder and her warning echoing inside him. The truth was revealed, but it was not enough. He wanted more. He needed to understand. And though danger loomed closer with each night, his door would remain open, for he knew now that his fate was tied to hers, and no warning, no curse could break it.